putting in a port injection kit on this B58. Decided to film it because there isn't much information out there. I know there's a few videos, so I said, what the heck, why not make a video on another one that I'm doing. So this one's going to get the Precision Raceworks PI kit, and it requires you taking off the intercooler manifold and everything here. The car does have the Dorch pump right now and the downpipe. This car will be getting a lot more things getting done, and it'll probably be a couple part series, but we're going to start with the Precision Raceworks port injection kit. And the first thing that we want to do is get access to this manifold here. So we'll end up undoing the bolts for the charge pipe and then take off all the wires and plumbing that is over the manifold itself. We might even go ahead and just take off the whole brace. We're going to need to anyway, because we're going to be routing wires from the reflex into the injectors and back, and also into the ECU here. So we're going to go ahead and start, I guess, with removing 2 bolts here, bolt, and I think there might be one more piece here, but yeah. So I went ahead and removed some of the plastics here. As you can see, these two, and then I removed the rubber piece that holds the wire that goes over the brace. I also removed the intake. Might as well have it off because, like I said, it's going to be getting a bunch more goodies. And so then there's a bolt here, 2 bolts there. Those are 18 millimeter. For these, they're like almost lost it. They're like a star type shape. I just use a 14, I believe, millimeter socket, and took it off with the impact. And same with those, just use the 18, and it should come right out. There you go. And then next we're gonna go ahead and do this little plastic piece. It's got 10 millimeter screws. It's got a few of them that run all the way around. We're gonna go ahead and remove that as well. There was 7 bolts total. I believe there's 4 here and 3 there. And then there's also this little plastic clip that you want to go ahead and remove as it attaches to the plastic piece here. And you just can wiggle that out. You might need to use a little bit of an extension. I didn't. I just kind of pushed it down at an angle for that bolt and maybe that bolt. But other than that, that should come right out. We can kind of move this out of the way and remove the soundproofing, or whatever you want to call it. That way you can hear that wonderful injector tick and high pressure fuel pump. And now this will give us better access to this manifold so that we can go ahead and remove everything on top and start working from underneath and removing those hoses. So what we're gonna go ahead and do next is drain the coolant. You can probably do that first, but you want to go ahead and make sure you drain the right radiator. So you're gonna see 2 hoses. There's this one here. Where is it? There we go. This one here. And there's also gonna be one that's, see if I can get it to focus. Right, that one right there. You can see that's the one that you want to go ahead and drain. That is the proper one. I went ahead just underneath the car. If you, again, got one of these pick tools, these are going to be your best friends. Pull it down, put your arm in and just wiggle it out, and the coolant will start going down. Make sure you just have something to catch it with. I just used whatever I had lying around just to catch it with. And then once that's done, we can go ahead and start kind of removing all the bolts and start working with the hoses that go underneath there. So I went ahead and removed everything pretty much that's blocking it. Went ahead and did the intake. These were like T something, I don't recall, but they were very easy to come out. There's 1, 2, and 1 underneath 3. These were T20s. You have 1, 2, gives you access to this, and then this third one is the one that's going to be wherever it is. It's somewhere here. Oh, here we go. Here, which attaches to the manifold here and to this, whatever this is. I don't know if it's the evap or whatever it is, but this just goes under. And then I also went ahead and removed this connector here, not connector, but whatever just attaches to hold the wires. That way, again, you want to get as much access as you can, because it's important when you're going to go ahead and do the bolts that hold the manifold in. You want to be able just to get it out. The hardest part is going to be the two hoses underneath, but with the right tools, you should be able to get it out. Your best friend on this job is going to be this tool here, or any pick tool that you can get under to undo the clamps that they have for these hoses. This one I went ahead and tucked in. I did put a rag also because a little bit of coolant was coming out. I didn't have it come out before on the other port injection kits that were done, but this one the motor's still a little warm, and so maybe the coolant hasn't quite settled yet. And then this piece connects in the back here, it just slides out. It really won't be in your way. This wire as well, these pins, pull them this way and they slide up as well. We'll probably get to these tomorrow. It's getting a little dark, but we'll definitely take out the manifold and start working underneath. I believe we might have to remove the tabs that hold the ECU here, but we'll see. Maybe we can get away with it once we got this pick tool here. Also, another important thing I want to mention before you take this out, there's sometimes can accumulate dirt, leaves, gunk, whatever. Do what you can to remove it, whether it's compressed air or a vacuum. Just do whatever you can. If you see anything, just to remove it. I just use the shop vac. I vacuumed it up and then I hit the other side and threw on the thin one and just let the air blow and blew everything out of there. So what you want to do is, there's two, I use like an 8mm bolts that hold down the manifold here and here. You want to go ahead and remove those. Make sure you don't drop them. They're the ones that look like this. Man, the sun just came out, it's getting hot. And then you also, I guess, want to go ahead and remove all these clips for these wires. I just went ahead and did all of them. You might just have to do the last one, but I just go ahead and do all of them. That way you can get access to all these. You might want to get like a thin walled 10mm and just start undoing those. So I broke those out with the socket, and then I might just hit it with the impact to undo them. These won't come out completely. They're gonna stay stuck in the manifold, but once we get this up, we'll be able to lift this a little bit and hopefully get to the best part of getting access to those two hoses underneath. Once you undo the bolts, you can go ahead and lift this manifold up a little bit on this side. You can see you've got quite a bit of room to play with. Went ahead and put a rag underneath here just in case. And as you can see, I pulled the clip out on that one. Like I said, your best friend is gonna be this guy. You come in, you pull, or whichever way, pull down. You can use like this hook one. There's also, I believe I have a 90-degree one. And so, right here. So, I'm just gonna go ahead and play around with it for a little bit. Some do remove this bracket. I'm gonna try and do it without it. It's not too hard to get access to, but just one extra thing. Once I get that hose out, then I'll move to the one in the back as well, or the one behind it. So finally got the manifold out. It rained a little, so I took a break because I can't get no light in here, but dirty ones. But I kind of put a rag over here because I was reaching over through here, and these edges will cut you up a little bit. It's all red, so I threw in the towel. But I started off with the hose. Let me see if I can get this out with one hand because the hoses are disconnected. See if we can get it out. Might need two hands, but yeah, I'll get it out with two hands, but I'll kind of show you exactly what went on. But it is out. We disconnected those two from the bottom. So I got the manifold out. Careful when you do take it out. A little bit of coolant will come from these lines. Make sure it doesn't spill all over, you know, so just be cautious of that. But what I went ahead and did is I actually took these little clips out. You can see here, I just took them out. Again, that pick tool is your number one friend in this install. But I took this one out first. This one's actually a little bit better. And then I went ahead and did this one. These are a little bit pain to get because they have to almost come out evenly. So all your tension is coming out like this and doesn't want to, but you kind of have to angle it up and then out. And so what I did with that one, and you want to be very careful, I took like a flat head and I basically just kind of inserted it as it was prying out and just pull, while with the other hand I was pulling and pulling, and it just popped right out. So this one was a little bit easier because that one I just used both hands and just popped it right out. Again, you want to make sure you get the angle right on these because it won't come out if it's a little bit slanted, or it'll be a lot more tougher. So now what we're going to go ahead and do, I'll just check the valves and all that just to see how dirty they are, but just to kind of get an idea. But I'm probably going to go ahead and change the oil filter because I'll be changing the oil while that's out. I might as well change the filter. And then we're going to go ahead and start messing with the plate kit and these tabs. So a lot of people use like a Dremel tool, or I've seen people try to cut it too. But we got a special tool for this. It'll take maybe 30 seconds and we'll get these tabs out. So, but yeah, we're gonna be moving on. Plugged up all the holes there, changed the oil filter, kind of just cleaned up a little bit around there. There's a bunch of sand in the middle and such. So I just vacuumed that out with the shop vac. And then I went ahead and got this manifold, got everything Dremeled down nice and smooth. Used a multi-tool, actually, DeWalt multi-tool, and this just did the works on it. So I also did bolt up the plate to the or it probably goes like this. Here you go. Well, it kind of goes, I guess, like that. I bolted it up just to make sure that everything fits nice and there are no issues with it, because I'm just kind of picky about it and I want to make sure I don't have to do the job twice and take it off. So I bolted it up, no gaps, everything looks clean. So next we're going to go ahead and continue on removing the towels and putting on the plate. It does come with the gaskets that are in the box, and we'll go ahead and insert those when we go ahead and bolt everything into there. So I went ahead and just kind of fitted it, did a little bit of a test fit. There shouldn't be any issues when you test fit it, you know. I just did it just to make sure. But there is one injector that you might have trouble with. The rest are fine, but the one that you might have to move a little bit is going to be this one here, the 5th. So I did have to just switch it. You just kind of push it over like that. So I just pushed it over this way, and then that way, because it gets in the way of the little pump here. But other than that, there should be no fitment issues. You really shouldn't. And then what you want to go ahead and do next is take your harness and plug it up. That way you don't bolt everything up and then forget you've plugged in your harness. Ask me how I know. But once you get that plugged up, you can just route the lines around and then start using the bolts that come with the kit to just slowly start bolting this thing in. Also make sure you do have the gaskets in again, and make sure, you know, it's clean and everything. And also don't forget to tighten this fitting here. That will go to the low pressure side. So I got the plate bolted in. Everything is fitting good, nice and snug. And so one thing I do want to mention, make sure that you do tighten. I mean, it might not be a big deal, but I always make sure when I'm working with something like this, whether it's the plate, whether it's the turbo manifold, when you tighten the bolts, I start with the middle one and then work the one to the left of it, then to the right, then one over, then one right, and such, and back and forth. That way you want to make sure it just seats evenly. Might not be a big deal on this, but I just still have the habit of doing it. And so I start with the middle bolt, I put these in loosely, and then I tighten a little, then tighten a little bit of them again, and then I go over them like 2 or 3 times. And so just to make sure it does sit right. And then we're gonna go ahead and just hook up the fuel line, and make sure you route your wires as well. And then everything is kind of reverse process of it going back on. These are just probably going to be the only difficult thing. There's also the brackets for the manifold. I guess you want to go ahead and use these little tabs. That way they kind of extend it out, because once the plenum does move up and out a little bit that way, that we can still use the OEM mounting holes, and you should have bolts with it as well. So do that also before you mount the manifold back on. So went ahead and bolted everything up after you get the two hoses underneath. Everything, like I said, is reverse process. So wired up or plugged in back all the DME plugs, wired everything back up here. I did go ahead and move these clips as well. They're fairly easy. I just stuck like a blade into there, and then pulled out the zip tie with a pig tool. So, and just moved it around a little bit. That way it sits nicely. Same thing with this one here. This, you want to leave, you don't want to have the wires at tension, so I just took it off right here, I put this in place, and then just moved the wires on top, clipped it back in. Everything else here fits good. This, I did undo the zip ties. I'll be putting them back on, maybe. I did move the wires here as well. What I basically did is I cut a little bit of this plastic here, and I think I cut like 2 on this one and then 3 on this one. That way the wires can be pushed in further, and that way it sits much better. And then we'll obviously have to fill the coolant back up, do the bleed process. Everything back here looks good. Put in the bolts, of course, here for the supports. Everything bolts back up. Slid this into the OEM spot, ran the wire, plugged it in. Everything fits good. Got this to fit right back on top. Everything's nice and snug. That one's plugged into the map sensor. Also, don't forget to plug in your throttle body control unit. Their plug is right over here, so that can be forgot often. And then I did disconnect this hose to help with the first hose underneath here. It did help a lot, so I would recommend doing that. That way you get more access and it's not under tension. And yeah, I did the fuel lines here, so it just kind of ran underneath. You might be able to see there, but yeah, you want to be careful when putting this on as well. Take it easy kind of with it, because you don't want to ruin any of your fuel lines. So you want to slide it on nicely, make sure it's nice and tight, nothing else comes out. Other than that, you should be pretty much all set. And then of course you're going to need to put your charge pipe back on. It does kind of require that you need an aftermarket one, but I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get away with it by just cutting these and moving it up and using some hose clamps to tighten it up. But we'll see kind of what we're going to do from here. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the install. If you guys liked it or need help, feel free to comment, like, and subscribe. Thanks.